yesterday, everyone enjoyed the electrifying performance of Alan. I've heard a lot of Alan stories before, and every time he tells a story, I'm like, not this one again. And then 2 minutes in, I'm sucked in, like, oh yeah, this is good. Even though it's like, the grocery stuff, oh man, she gonna get his dick sucked. I like this story. So it's kind of, the stories are so great that you want to hear them anyway. So anyway, it's good. All right, so without further ado, strap in and get ready for round 2 for Mode 1 himself. And wait, and before we clap, Alan forgot to do this yesterday, so just as a warm-up, to bring him up, can we all get a Mode 1 on 3? 1, 2, 3. Mode 1! There it is. All right. Welcome back.
Well, you know what I'm going to say? Say it again. Yes, when I do my talk radio show, upfront and straightforward, no less than 4 out of every 5 times I have a guest at some point in the show, I have them say that. And I have a chat room with my show, and the chat room just goes crazy because they love that. And when Sasha had the guy say it in London, I'm not gonna lie, I got goosebumps. Because it was just like this energy, like Steve was talking about, an energy in the room. When they were chanting Mode 1, yeah, it was, because I think anybody who's done public speaking, and like Sasha, he's done comedy. I did comedy for a little bit. One thing that was always talked about among public speakers and or comedians was you want to feed off the energy of the crowd. Like, if you're a comedian, you never want to follow somebody that just took the energy out of the crowd. But at the same time, it's hard to follow somebody who just killed and you don't have the material to kill with them. But I love that energy, that Mode 1. When I hear Mode 1, matter of fact, let me hear it again. Mode 1! Now, it's interesting, when I first got here today, a couple guys, not in a real serious way, but kind of lightheartedly said, hey, Alan, you know, James said some stuff that was different from you, and James said a couple things that contradicted some of the stuff you said. So? I mean, I've been doing this long enough to know that every other dating coach, seduction guru, lifestyle coach, etc., they're always going to say something that's at minimum is going to be different than what I say, and at maximum, that's going to be a total contradiction to what I say. But one thing my readers and supporters know, and I think I said this yesterday, I try never to hate on anybody's stuff. I actually tell my readers to read as much as they can, listen to as many people as they can, and you just draw what resonates with you. Because I know Mode 1 will not, there's going to be a few people it's just not going to resonate with. Some people are going to say, I could never. It's just like I told you a story when I gave my brother the pamphlet that he gave to his workers. He gave it to like 8 guys. 3 of them immediately said, I can't do this. They was like, this approach is too ballsy for me. I would not feel comfortable. And I was like, shit, what? You coward, you fucking, you loser. I was just like, that is not going to mesh with your personality. Now, I will admit, and again, I'm going to try not to say this person's name, but I will admit, when I do have beef with another speaker or another coach or whatever, is not only when they differ from me, but when they attack my stuff. And that did happen in London. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but there was one speaker there, and he actually got on stage and said, I think verbalizing your sexual intentions to a woman is the dumbest thing you can do. And the whole auditorium of guys just turned around and looked at me like, Alan, we know you got a response for that. And I was like, yeah, I let him talk. And then, he kept plugging the word sub-communication. See, I believe you have to sub-communicate your desires to a woman. You don't verbalize them, you sub-communicate them. since Sasha was talking about ethnicities and stuff, I'm gonna just put it out there. In America, brothers, they don't talk about no fucking sub-communication. I'm just keeping it real. We don't talk about it. That's not even in our vernacular. I've never hung around some brothers that say, hey man, I'm gonna go out to the club and I'm gonna be sub-communicating with some honeys, man. Yeah, man. I'm gonna talk to him, man. I'm gonna sub-communicate with him, man. You gonna come with me? You gonna sub-communicate? Shit, yeah, matter of fact, let's see them honeys against the wall, man. Let's go over there and sub-communicate to them. Cause, and again, I don't wanna hear all my stuff, but here's why I'm not the biggest fan of this idea of sub-communication. And this is gonna relate to what I'll talk about later in my presentation. I've been on a dance floor with a woman and had that woman put her ass all in my dick. I mean, I was just like, and just grabbing on her ass and shit. Now, if you saw that on video, you would say, oh, I know he gonna fuck her tonight. But some of those women didn't even give me their number. Now, if the sub-communication experts would analyze it, they would say, surely if a woman puts her ass all in your dick and basically sexualizes her body language, then surely she's gonna give you some pussy. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality. Some of them will. Surely some of them will. There's a percentage that will. But there's some women that just enjoy cock teasing guys. And like I said, I'm gonna get to that a little later. But yeah, on the point of people differing from me, I hear it all the time. Like there was a guy, Sasha invited me to this message board a while back called the London Seduction Society message board. There's some good guys on there. But as with any message board, you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have critics. And I had one guy, he's like, Ellen, man, you act like Mo 1 is the only way to go. Like it's the best thing since sliced bread. I said, please show me a post where I said that. And of course, he couldn't find one. He said, oh, fuck you, you still a jerk, you asshole. But no, my brother probably says it more than I do. He tells guys, he said, Mo 1 is not for everybody. Like my X-rated style, some guys criticize, they say, hey man, don't you think it's like disrespectful to go up to a woman and like in the first 5 minutes tell her you want to put your dick in her mouth? I said, no, I think it's disrespectful to go up to a woman and pretend I'm interested in her boots when I really just want to put my dick in her mouth. And I'm not saying that to be funny, I'm saying that seriously. I mean, when you boil all my philosophies, all my principles, it's hard to just narrow it down, but what it really comes down to is this. I don't like pretending, I don't like to try to get laid by pretending that I'm not trying to get laid. I think that's the absolute dumbest thing a man could do. But yet a lot of indirect guys, that's basically what they teach, is to try to get laid by pretending or hiding the fact that you're trying to get laid. My attitude is, if I want to fuck, I'm going to let a woman know I want to fuck. And basically, when it comes down to nitty-gritty, she's either going to say yay or nay. The difference between me and a lot of guys is that I'm cool with the nay. Most guys aren't cool with the nay. So they're going, if they can't go through the front door, they're going to say, well, I want to go through the side door to lower the chances of her saying nay. But what they don't realize, and this is going to relate to the time wasters, is that a lot of men think, there are moments when a lot of men think they're avoiding rejection when in actuality, they're just delaying it. I don't ever want to delay rejection. If I'm going to get rejected by a woman, I would actually rather be rejected, say, in the first 10 to 15 minutes of my first conversation with a woman than to go out on, say, 6 or 7 dates and have that woman give me what I call the talk. And when I do the talk, it's funny, when I've done this around women, they always crack up because they know I'm on point, because they know they've done this talk. But this is what I call the talk. It's like, say you meet a woman and you are indirect. You're not bringing up anything sexual. You just take her out 3, 4, 5 times. And then you figure at the 5th date, you've earned enough brownie points that you can start escalating. But only when you escalate, the woman says, Henry, can we talk? You're a great guy. You're a great guy. You're going to make some woman a great boyfriend, a great husband, I swear to God. You are such a sweetheart. But if I can be so frank, I just don't feel any romantic or sexual sparks between us. Now, we can be great platonic friends, but I just don't see anything happening. And see, what I tell the women who don't know this, I say, most of the time in your face, the women's faces, they're going to be cordial. They'll say, oh, okay, yeah. But most of the guys I know, at least the ones who've been buddy with me, I'll get a call sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning. Man, fucking bitch. Damn, man, that bitch wasted my motherfucking time. I'm like, dude, what's up, man? I'm asleep, dude. What are you talking about? Man, I took this bitch out 5 times, right? I took her to the finest restaurants in Chicago. And then she gonna tell me, hey, you're a good guy. You're a sweetheart. Why are they angry? Why are they angry? Why are those guys angry?
They played themselves.
That's probably the best answer. They played themselves. Any other variations of that?
Didn't make that intentionally. Was indirect.
They didn't make their intentions clear. And see, this is why I'm against indirect. This is one of my just biggest things against indirect, is because nobody, well, there are probably a few people don't mind it, but generally speaking, did anybody see this movie called Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro? That movie, I love that movie. I saw that movie. I can't tell you how many times I saw that movie. But there's one simple line in the movie I just loved. You could say that line sums up all one. Is that he goes to his snitch. A lot of cops, detectives have their snitches who give them inside information, and in exchange the cops cut them a break here and there. So basically this snitch had led him to believe he had some information for him, but when he got there talking to the snitch was basically telling him a bunch of bullshit. And Al Pacino starts getting mad. He's basically like, and finally he says, Albert, why did you bring me here? You're wasting my motherfucking time. And I was like, man, but I just went out of town and I just, and Al Pacino's like, basically like, no, shut the fuck up. You brought me here and now you've wasted my motherfucking time. Then as he's walking away with his fellow detectives, he says, don't waste my motherfucking time. Love that line. But that's how we all feel. If somebody led you to believe that the direct dating summit was going to be here, and then when you got here, you saw a ballet class, you're like, wait a minute. Sasha told me that the direct dating summit was going to be here. There's a ballet class in this motherfucker. I took off work to be here. I caught the bus to be here. This motherfucker Sasha wasted my motherfucking time. Nobody wants their time wasted. Now, here's the thing though, and this relates to Johnny's quick response. And Johnny, you know I love you, but you can't be giving me all the responses there because you always had the right answer. I want the guys to give me the right answers. Because Johnny's that A+ student you have in the class. It's just like, I know it. The geometric formula isn't. The teacher's like, God damn it, that guy, he's awesome. But but he did say he hit it on the nose though. A lot of guys, when I get the example of the guy calling me angry, they'll try to point the finger at the woman like, you know, that fucking bitch, she wasted my time. But when they get mad at me is when I break down to them, I'm like, no. You wasted your own motherfucking time. And tell me your first name again. Marcus, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you said about they weren't direct with their intentions. And see, I experienced that because, you know, I had a time when I was indirect. And that's why I didn't like it, because I found that every time I interacted with a woman, and I knew just ultimately I just wanted to fuck, but I was doing shit like, hey, you know, the weather is great and shit, ain't it? And yeah, God, those some great boots you got on, golly. And doing all that small talk, it could be just one night, like say at a club. I might have been at a club talking to a woman for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'm thinking I'm earning, as guys like to say, brownie points. But then at the end of the conversation when I would say, hey, you know, we ought to get together sometime. no, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, you're a great guy and everything, but, and again, I would, in her face, I would be cordial, like, oh, you know, well, it was good talking to you anyway. But I ain't gonna lie, I'd be sitting there under my breath like, wasted a fucking hour talking when I could have just opened up and told her I wanted to connect with her in the near future. She could have told me yeah and nay in the first 5 minutes of the conversation. So yeah, 3 things I don't like to pretend. I don't like to pretend that I don't want to get laid when I actually do. I don't want to pretend that I want a long-term, monogamous, emotionally profound relationship with a woman when I know I just might want to say a weekend fling or 1 or 2 weeks of casual sex. And I don't want to pretend like I'm content with being a woman's play brother or platonic friend when I know I want to either date her or fuck her. None of those scenarios makes me ever feel good. And that's what made me arrive at Mode 1. And the guys who I think have most benefited from my books are guys who experienced the same thing, who had the same thought process. They were like, I'm tired. Because the thing I noticed when I start being Mode 1 is, and Sasha has heard me say this a million times, rejection just didn't affect me the same way anymore. Like when I was indirect and I got rejected, I would always feel pissed off, always. Again, mainly because I just felt like I wasted time. But when I'm Mode 1 with women and they reject me, I tend to have an attitude like, so? Like Steve, he was talking about matches, being a match. I don't look at rejection as a personal indictment on me, like my nose is too big or my breath stink or whatever. I just look at it like I have some desires and interests and intentions that she's not on the same page as. And as long as I know up front, I'm not wasting time. So, yeah, and I'm just going to mainly talk about 2 things. I've already started talking about why I like a direct approach, and then I'm going to talk about content related to my latest book. It's not in paperback form yet, but it's been selling as an ebook. I'm getting a lot of good feedback. It's called The Possibility of Sex. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of coaches out here that do preach the indirect. I mean, I've had some coaches, they're honest about it. They'll say, yeah, I teach my guys to get laid by pretending that they're not trying to get laid. Matter of fact, I mentioned Kezia Noble, the female dating coach from London. She halfway admitted that on my show during my interview. She likes to say she's a fan of both approaches. She says, sometimes I teach my male clients to be direct, but she said a lot of other times I teach them to be indirect. I said, so you basically teach them to try to get laid by pretending, and she was like, yeah. I said, okay, at least you're honest about it. But I would never teach a guy that, because again, here's the thing about being indirect, I just say it all the time. When you're indirect and say you do happen to get laid, of course you're gonna feel like it's worthwhile. That's with anything in life. Of course you're gonna feel wild. But it's those moments, again, going back to rejection, when you don't get the result, that you're gonna feel like, you're just gonna feel like a pussy. I don't want to speak for everybody, I just say it for me and the guys I know. I felt like a pussy when I was indirect and got rejected. I felt like, damn, why not just tell her straight up that I wanted to fuck her? Why not tell her straight up that I wanted non-monogamous sex or a short-term relationship as opposed to long-term or monogamous? But where I really feel like the indirect approach, well, first I'm gonna give you my definition. Everybody has their own definitions. I'm gonna give you my definition. What is a direct approach versus an indirect approach? This is my definition of a direct approach. When you approach a woman and you let her know straightforwardly what motivated you to approach her in the first place. For example, letting a woman know, I think you're attractive, or I think you're sexy, as opposed to, man, where did you get that blouse from? Is that from Switzerland? You didn't want to fucking know where she got her blouse from. What the fuck is that? Really? That's some stupid shit to me. And this same guy, again, who will remain nameless, who criticized my approach, he has a video of him doing just that. He goes up to a woman, he's asking her about her boots and her bag, like he really gave a fuck. Whenever I approach women, I tell them from the get-go, I approach them number one because something about them appealed to me. I may be as general as I thought you were attractive and sexy. Might be some more specific, like, damn, you got a nice ass. And I just had to start talking to you. I've said that to a lot of women. I said, damn, you got an ass on you. Matter of fact, when we were in Vegas for the direct date, so I went to the grocery store. There was this woman, she had these leggings. You know how women with them leggings, man, it looks like somebody just painted on them. And first I just looked. I told you I had a habit of just sometimes just looking. And she kind of sensed I was looking. She said, hello. I said, hello. She said, you look like you want to say something, but you don't know what to say. I said, oh no, I know what I want to say. I said, damn, you're just looking at your ass is getting my dick hard. And of course, fine, whoever, what do you think her reaction was? You could predict. Oh my God, I don't believe you said that. Oh my God, you're so foreign. I said, yeah, I hear that all the time. But damn, I mean, I could put a glass on your ass and it would sit there. I mean, your shit is like a half moon and shit. And then she said, you know, she had to get racial. She said, you know, mostly black guys always notice my ass. The other guys, they don't really say anything. I said, no, trust me, it's the white guys that's noticing your ass. They might not be saying anything, but they too are saying you got a nice ass. But anyway, I let her know. I said, hey, you got a nice ass. We talked a little bit. I gave my card. Now, we didn't hook up or anything, but I didn't say, damn, is that La Johnson's orange juice you get there? Wow, I drink that all the time. Wow, are those fresh strawberries? I love fresh strawberries. Matter of fact, I gotta tell this story. Me and my stories. Guy from London, another speaker, David X. He has, you know, like any day coach, he had his clients. And I never heard him criticize a client, but me and him were going to fly to Amsterdam. He says, Alan, he talks real raspy. If anybody's familiar with David X, you know, I love the way, I tease Sasha, I love the way he says, he never says Sasha, he says Sasha. You know, Sasha went to the store and got some water. But anyway, he says, there's this client of mine, Alan, I'm going to turn him over to you because he just won't listen to shit I say. I said, no, I don't want to take your client. He said, no, I'm giving him to you because he just frustrates the fuck out of me. Nice guy. I mean, he's a good guy, but he just won't listen. So I'm thinking David X is just being too hard on him. Sure enough, we get to Amsterdam, he introduces me to the guy. The guy was cool, you know. I forget what his native country was. He spoke pretty fluent English, but he was living in Amsterdam. Anyway, he starts asking me questions. He says, Alan, I read your book, Mode 1. I loved it. I loved the principles, and I try to apply it, but okay, what if you go to a woman and you like really Mode 1 and straightforward, and she just like hauls off and slaps you? Right there, I said, oh, I know why David X is frustrated with this guy. Because if there's one thing me and David X had in common, and I'm sure a few other dating coaches had this common, is guys who give these hypothetical rejection scenarios. And the first question I always ask guys when they give me those scenarios, I say, so how many times has that happened to you? And he said, oh no, I've never been slapped. I said, then why the fuck you talking about it then? He said, well, what if I go to a woman and I say, hey, I want you to suck my cock, and she just like starts cursing me out in front of everybody? I said, how many times has that happened to you? He said, well, never, but I'm like, why the fuck you talking about it? He gave me literally about 7 or 8 of those. And every time I asked him, how many times has you experienced that? He said, well, no, I just always envisioned. I said, why the fuck are you doing that? Then I found myself getting frustrated. I had to be like, okay, Alan, calm down. But I can see why David asked. And sure enough, anyway, we get into this grocery store. I said, this is what I want you to do. Gave him specific, easy to understand directions. I said, the next woman that comes in here that you think is attractive, I want you to first just approach her, introduce yourself. Number one, introduce yourself. Tell her that you think she's attractive, sexy, or both. and then finally say, I would love to share your company sometime in the next week or two. How can we make that happen? Would you say those were 3 pretty easy to understand instructions? It involved no X-rated talk. I didn't tell her to say, I want you to suck my dick and nothing like that. Just 3 simple instructions. But this shows you how a lot of men, that fear of rejection I talk about. So this beautiful blonde comes in. She was drop dead gorgeous. And I give him a look, and he gives me a look. And so he approaches her. He says, oh my God, you are beautiful. And she says, oh my God, thank you. He says, matter of fact, you're beyond beautiful. You're also fucking. He says fucking. He says, you're fucking sexy. And she just blushes out this world. She's like, oh my God. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So he says, my name is, so I can't remember his name. Let's say Charles. He said, my name is Charles. And she introduced herself. And I could tell they had a good vibe. Now he just had to do one more thing. And that was to say, I would love to share a company sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. What the fuck did he do? Just like I joked about that orange juice, he literally did. He said, do you like that? See that juice right there? Do you love that? Do you come here for that juice? I'm like, and she's like, yeah, I love that juice. He said, that's why I love coming here. Matter of fact, there's some meat over there. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Sure enough, you can see it. I knew it was going to happen. Her vibe, she entertained him for maybe a minute or 2. Her vibe just, next thing you know, she gave that kind of cordial, like, hey, excuse me, I gotta go. It was nice meeting you, but, I gotta continue shopping. And then he had the nerve to be incredulous about what went wrong. He was like, he was looking like this, like, what happened? I said, dude. I said, dude, what the fuck was that? He said, what? I said, dude, you were going good. Why did you start talking about orange juice? I mean, seriously, I was like, why the fuck would you start talking about that? And he was like, well, I don't know. I thought that if I just immediately asked to connect with her, that she would think I was too forward, and then she would say, probably call me a jerk. I'm like, there you go. There you go, envisioning shit that could happen, but hasn't happened. So that's my piece of advice to you. Don't ever concern yourself with shit that could happen. When we were in London, and that's why David X was getting pissed, and I got pissed, not as pissed as him. David X was going off on people. I mean, getting in their face like, you dickhead. I mean, he was just like, I was like, whoa. But I could feel his frustration because a lot of people were asking us questions like that, like, what if I do this and she does that? Just do the shit. Nike had the shit, just do it. Then you find out, if you want to talk to me about something that actually has happened, that's when I'm willing to listen. If you say, Alan, I've been mode 1, and like 10 or 11 times I've gotten an XYZ result, can you analyze this for me? Can you give me better understanding of why I'm getting it? Then that's when I'm willing to talk. If you tell me about shit that's actually happened, but don't tell me about shit. Well, what if I was like at a bar and I'm on 1, this woman starts loud talking me in front of my girlfriends. How many times that happened? Well, never, but I always picture that happening. Have you ever pictured yourself getting your dick sucked in a grocery store? They'll say no. I'm like, there you go. Why do you think you never got your dick sucked in a grocery store? I mean, seriously. One of the reasons why I've experienced a lot of shit I have sexually, particularly as it relates to like same-day seductions, is because I literally visualize that shit. A lot of times when I meet women, I could be anywhere. I don't like limit it to like the bedroom, or I could be at a train station. I'll be thinking to myself, 10 minutes from now, that woman's we're gonna be somewhere in this train station, she's gonna be sucking my dick. And it's happened. LAX airport. Gotta tell you a story. I'm at LAX airport. This woman, she's on the phone, and I just look at her. And she's like, she starts to look at me like okay. And she finally wraps it up. She's like, damn, you just rudely and blatantly just start staring at me. What do you think I said? What one word? So? I ain't gonna apologize for the shit. I was like, so? And she was like, you're a character. And she immediately started warming. She was like, you're a character. So she said, you flying in or you going to fly out? I said, I'm actually going to fly out in a couple hours, just wasting some time. I said, you know what would be nice though? She said, what? I said, what would be nice is if before I left town, I could just feel your lips and tongue wrapped around my dick. Now, what do you think she said? Are you like crazy or something? I just meet some woman that says that shit. I said, me? She's like, well, I gotta let you know I'm not a hoe or a slut. What do you say when women say that? Well, at least I say, that's good, that's great, because I don't like hoes and sluts. So shoot, you're not a hoe or a slut, that's the plus for you. Anyway, we start talking, and of course, with predictability, she calmed down, and she was like, you are such a character. Next thing you know, she pulls me. She says, do you know LAX airport? I said, she said, I know it real well. And she just grabs my wrist and takes me to a stairwell. Now, I don't know if I want to confess this on camera. Well, my parents have both passed away, so they can't spank me. But I almost got arrested because of this woman, because she started sucking my dick in the stairwell, and my common sense should have said, damn, there's security cameras all over this motherfucker. And 5 minutes into her sucking my dick, these two guys with navy blue jackets are like, okay, come with us. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? And yeah, anyway, we got it worked out. I didn't get arrested. But anyway, my point was, in the same way guys will envision themselves having bad experiences with women, negative experiences with women, I don't think like that. I think very confidently, sometimes some of my friends will argue too confidently, that something's gonna happen sexually. I tend to think wherever I can be, that I can fuck this woman in the back of the club, I can fuck this woman in the coffee shop, I can fuck this woman in the restaurant. And because I think like that, I've had a lot. I was telling some of the guys that my brother used to nickname me Letters to Penthouse, because there's a series of books, erotica books called Letters to Penthouse, where people submit stories of basically like very spontaneous sex, unexpected sex, like I was on a train and this guy hit on me and we ended up fucking. Well, I can honestly say I've had a lot of Letters to Penthouse worthy stories where I've just been somewhere random. I had a woman close down a gas station so I could fuck her. Close down a gas station so I could fuck her. Wait, now Sasha says I repeat my stories. Did I tell that story yesterday? No. Okay, he's like, no, I want to hear it. No, you didn't tell that story. No, I really did. I had this woman, I went in there, I was coming from a party, it's in the Chicago area. And first I was just planning on saying, you know, $15 on pump 7. And she had on this nice section. I said, damn, you are fucking sexy. And she said, well, thank you. I said, man, as horny as I feel right now, I want to just fuck you right now. And she was like, what the fuck is your problem? You just come out and say that shit? I'm like, what, am I supposed to hold it in? That made her laugh. She said, okay, that makes sense. And I said, yeah, I said, we need to fuck. If not tonight, sometime in the next 2-3 weeks, we need to fuck. And she said, you really want to fuck, don't you? I said, yeah, I want to fuck. Now, this is also, I don't recommend this, because this was risky too, because I'm sure they had security cameras in there. I said, you act like you don't believe I'm horny. So I pull out my dick. Literally, I pulled out my dick. And she's like, but I saw her looking at that motherfucker, she was like, she was like, you're bold. You're either crazy or just the boldest guy I've ever met in my life. I said, probably the latter, but I might be a little cuckoo, but it benefits me. Anyway, she pretty much said something to the fact that it wasn't going to happen. So I went outside. I started pumping gas. Who comes out like 5 minutes later? She says, like she doesn't want to acknowledge she wants to hook up, so she kind of hesitates. And I said, I'm like, yes. And she says, you know, at this time of night, because it was late at night, it was like, I don't know, 2:30, 3 in the morning. She said, you know, this time of night it's like really slow. I said, and you're telling me this because, she said, okay, I'm feeling a little spontaneous tonight. I said, really? She said, if this night will be like most nights at this time, I'm willing to have a little fun back inside. But the minute a car comes, we just gotta, I said, hey, I'm following your lead. So we went back in there. She locks the door. She's like, and I fucked her right in there, even though, well, I fucked her, but technically I didn't finish that night, because sure enough, when you know, about 3 minutes before I feel myself about to come, some car pulled up and she was like, oh, please stop, please. You know, but that just shows you, and I think I said this yesterday, if not in here, I said to some guys privately, I said, you could be anywhere. If you get a woman's pussy wet, and this is the thing I have to emphasize. I know I emphasized yesterday, but I'm going to emphasize again. Quit putting the cart before the horse. Me and Johnny were talking about this. A lot of men will talk about fucking a woman. Like, man, I want to go out to the club and I want to meet this woman and fuck her. Or I want to go to this party and meet this woman and fuck her. And I always say, okay, how you going to fuck her? What do you mean? Am I going to do doggy style or am I going to do missionary? I'm like, no. How you going to get her to a state where she even wants to fuck? Oh, well, I guess, you know, I got to get her aroused first. I said, there you go. I never concentrate on actually fucking a woman until I'm actually fucking a woman. I concentrate on getting a woman's pussy wet. I never go say to a party with the attitude that, ooh, I'm fuck this woman, I'm gonna fuck that woman. But I will say to myself, if I meet some woman and it looks like we got chemistry, I'm gonna do my best to get her pussy wet. Because once a woman's pussy is wet, social programming, number one, becomes diminished. Seriously. All that social program I talked about yesterday, like they thinking about their mother and father saying, you gotta be a good girl. When that pussy gets wet, they're like, okay, mom and dad, you gotta go. I mean, it's just like us. You hear women all the time say, God, when you guys think with your dicks, you like do anything. And it's true. Both sexes though. When we get horny, we're willing to take risks. We're willing to be spontaneous. That's the only way I've had some experience I had, because once I got that woman's pussy wet, I was able to say anything I wanted to say. I was willing to ask anything, any type of request, and she was willing to go for it. And as I told you yesterday, I've even gotten women's pussies wet talking about other motherfuckers. People always trip on that, but shit, that shit works for me. I'll be like, so you like Kobe Bryant, huh? Oh yeah, Kobe is sexy. Say it again. Kobe is sexy. You'd love to have Kobe fuck you, wouldn't you? Ellen, wouldn't you? Yeah, I'd love to have Kobe. Say it again. I'd love to have Kobe fucking me. Say it again. And I just ease on in there as time. You love to have him do what? I love to have him fuck me. Say it. Oh, I love to have Kobe fuck me. Oh, say it again. I love to have Kobe fuck me. Whose fingers in your pussy? Yours. That's when Kobe eases out the conversation and Alan Roger Currie comes in when I talk about what we're actually doing. And so, see, I always get my stories become a segue to, I get off my, that's why I need these PowerPoints to kind of keep me organized. But yeah, direct approach is when you straightforwardly let a woman know why you approached her. And the most important thing is why you're interested in spending time with her in the near and or distant future. Are you approaching a woman because you just want entertaining conversation? Going back to my boots example and shit, did you really want to just talk about her boots or her new hairdo? Raise your hand if you've ever been motivated to approach a woman in a social setting just to talk about something like her clothes or some shit. Okay, tell me why you did that.
Yeah, maybe a woman might feel slow and you make her day or something, no?
You wanted to make her day?
Yeah.
You didn't think that fucking her and making her come would make her day?
No, actually not. You know, I just saw, like, if she looks lonely, you know, not particularly my type, but why not talk to her? You know, nobody talks
So just, in other words, to pass the time.
to her. Yeah.
Well, I won't hold that against you too much, but I will say for the type of guy I am, I don't like to do that shit. And I've gotten criticized for it. So, you know, some of my female friends, like, I'll start with the phone. Like, I think I alluded to this yesterday. Like, if women just call me and say, hey, Alan, like, so what's going on? I'll be like, so when we fucking? They'll be like, Alan. I'll be like, when we fucking? We fucking tomorrow? We fucking 2 days from now? They'll be like, no, I just called you today just to, like, like, catch up with what you've been up to. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. They'll be like, Alan, you can be an asshole sometimes. You can be a total dick. You know that? I'm like, so? But I'm not gonna sit on the phone for an hour talking about bullshit. Now, if I'm in the mood, maybe, every now and then I might do that shit. But I don't even do that with men, so I know I'm not gonna do it with women. Most of my male friends know, they like, don't call Alan and just be like, hey, want to catch up because he's gonna cut you off. I don't, but I know that's what people are used to, is talking. Like, I notice a lot of people, and I'm gonna generalize a little bit by slanting towards women, they don't like to have silence. I've been in a lot of situations, like with women, I'll be, I won't be saying anything. They'll say, Alan, what's wrong? I'll be like, what's wrong? You asking me that question? I'm like, ain't shit wrong with me. They'll be like, you ain't saying anything. I'm like, what should I be saying? Just like you should be talking. Why? What should I be talking about? Some stupid shit? Don't you it just feels weird to be sitting in a room with you and you're not saying anything. I'm like, why? My mother and father used to sit in the room all the time. They didn't say shit to each other. He might be reading the paper and she'd be doing whatever. Do people have to be fucking talking all the time? I don't like to just talk to be fucking talking. Again, I'm not going to hate on the people who, if that's people's thing, I say more power to them. But like Sasha will tell you this, in the apartment. There's been times in the apartment I'm staying here where I've been out with the other people and talking to them. But I only talk when I genuinely feel like I have something to say. But as you notice, Fawn and everybody who's been in the apartment with me, there's sometimes I'm just in my room. And those are the moments when I'm like, I ain't got shit to say. I'm not just gonna go out like, hey, Sasha, so like, what's up, man? What'd you think about today's thing, I just ain't gonna do that. So, I like to have conversations that are meaningful and productive. An indirect approach. When you approach a woman and one, you are neither specific, honest, and or straightforward with her about why you really approached her. Again, you didn't really approach her to talk about orange juice. Number two, you are neither specific, honest, and or straightforward about why you really want to share her company now or in the near or distant future. See, that second part, that's another thing. I'll hear guys, and again, I'm not going to be too harshly critical of this, but guys will say sometimes, hey, I think we should like get together and, like hang out. What the fuck does that mean? Really, hang out. Hang out and do what? Hang out and go to a movie? Hang out and go to a concert? Here's my thing. If you want to take a woman out to dinner because you genuinely want companionship while eating dinner, I have no criticisms of you. If you want to go to a movie, invite a woman to a movie with you because you genuinely want companionship while you're watching a movie, I have no criticism of you. But I know from most of my male friends and acquaintances that at least half the time that guys invite women to do shit, they really just want to fuck. Guys will say, man, I didn't really want to go to a movie with her. I was just trying to get in her pants. I didn't really want to go to a concert with her. I was just trying to get in her pants. I told a story yesterday of a friend of mine. He was doing all that shit. He was taking this woman to restaurants, which I was already critical of, but I said, okay. Took her to all these cultural events and shit. But the kicker, God bless his heart, she came to him and said, I'll use a fake name. She said, Brian, can you pay for me to go to Cancun? Now, what's the first red flag with that question? Anybody?
You pay for me?
What's the key word, though?
Pay.
Well, you can say that too. That's a close second, but what's the really key word? Me. She didn't say, can you pay for us to go to Cancun? She said, can you pay for me to go to Cancun? His dumb ass thought she meant us. And it wasn't until I told him, I said, dude, it don't sound like she trying to have you go on that trip. He was like, dude, what are you talking about? Don't be a dumbass. Of course I'm going on a trip. I said, you need to clarify that shit. Sure enough, when he clarified, she's like, no, I'm going with my girlfriends. This is a girls' trip. But I want you to pay for it. So, sometimes I ain't gonna lie, I love to be the one to say I told you so, but usually with your close friends or family members, you hate to be the one to say I told you so. But literally, I predicted everything that was gonna happen. I said, dude, remember I was just talking about in the early part of the presentation about the talk, when women give the talk. I said, dude, I guarantee you, because he kept saying, man, I said, why are you doing all this? He said, man, I'm earning brownie points. A lot of guys will use that phrase. He said, man, I'm earning brownie points. Man, once she come back from Cancun, man, we gonna be smashing. We gonna be doing this. I said, dude, this is what's gonna happen. 3 to 5 days after she comes back from Cancun, she's gonna say, Brian, can we talk? And then she's gonna say, you're a great guy. You're a sweetheart. You're gonna make some woman. And at the time he was like, man, you crazy, man. This chick is all into me, man. She's all into me. She went to Cancun. He paid for her ticket and paid at least 1/4 of her 2 girlfriends' tickets. She came back, and I'm sure enough, about 6-7 days after she came back, she gave him the talk. And he called me, as some of my guys would do, like it was like 1 in the morning. It's like, man, he literally sounded like he wanted to cry. He was like kind of angry, but you know how your boys, they sound when they about to, he's like, man, this is some bullshit, man. This is some bullshit. I said, calm down, dude, what's up? He said, man, you was so right, Alan, man. You was so right, man. He's like, yeah, fucking bitch, man. She played me. And I said what Johnny's answer was. I said, no. I said, bro, dude, I love you. You my friend, dude. But you played yourself. You played yourself. You thought earning, as you call them, these brownie points was going to lead to this fantastic romantic and sexual chemistry, and it didn't. It was a funny thing, well, not funny for him. He said, dude, you remember when you talking about that talk? Man, her shit was like almost verbatim what you said. She was like, hey, Brian, we need to talk. She even sighed in the places that you sighed and paused. And said, you're a great guy, you know, and you're going to make some woman a great husband, but I'm just not feeling any romantic sparks. So, you know, a lot of guys, and I've heard dating coaches say this, they say, no, it's more effective for you to be kind of vague and ambiguous. Don't tell a woman you immediately want to fuck them. Just say, hey, I want to hang out socially. Yeah, you can do that. But if that woman's not interested in you, I guarantee you, you're going to feel like you wasted your motherfucking time. Now again, the key difference is if you're hanging out with somebody because you genuinely, keyword is genuinely, want to hang out with that person for dinner, lunch, concert, movie, be my guest. But if you're doing any of those things with the ulterior motive of fucking that woman, you are setting yourself up to be played. You're setting yourself up to be played. We talked about the 4 types of women. Again, I never have anybody disagree with those reciprocators. Never have anybody disagree with those rejectors, although a lot of dating coaches say you should avoid them like the plague. I say rejection is win-win. Rejection is win-win. Some people say, that don't make sense. You just throwing that out there. That's stupid. No, it is. Because here's the thing. If a woman rejects you because I'm competing with somebody. If a woman rejects you because she's genuinely not interested in you, that's a win, particularly if she rejects you immediately because you're not having your time wasted. That's a win. And if a woman is pretending not to be interested in you, that's a win, because she's going to make an attempt to contact you again, and at that point, you're going to have the upper hand. So I'm never afraid of rejection. I don't like it. I'm not going to sit there and say, I love being rejected. That would be disingenuous. But I'm saying I'm not afraid of it. Pretenders, I mainly talked about that yesterday. That's what my book, Said Again, centers around. To give the little quiz, what's a pretender? Anybody? What's a pretender? Give me a general description of a pretender. Well, anybody but Johnny. No, anybody but Sasha and Johnny.
Is it indirect or something? Like someone who says he wants one thing, but actually is it that? Is it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't want to say I really want to just.
Well, pretender, that was generally it. A pretender is my term for a woman who deep down really has some degree of romantic or sexual interest in you, but because of her social programming, she's going to initially, whether it's for the first few minutes, first few hours, first few days, weeks, might be even first few months after she meets you, she's going to pretend, number one, that she's not interested. Any more specifically, she's going to pretend like she's not as kinky as she really is. She wants you to think she's a prudish good girl. But if you're Mo one, especially if you follow advice and Said Again, you will know how to overcome that and break her down. Now, the one I have out of these four probably gotten the most challenges from, not so much from women. I've had only maybe 1 or 2 women, but men, interesting enough. Men will challenge me on this, like going back to that LSS forum that Sasha invited me on. A lot of guys will start saying, Alan, I'm sorry, man, some of your stuff is cool, but you kind of overemphasize this thing where you think women are manipulative, man. You're like treating women like they're the enemy. And like, you know, it's us versus them. And I don't think that way, and I don't like to think that way. And, you know, I don't know what you're talking about with all these manipulative time wasters. I'm like, really? Well, hold that thought. Before we get to time wasters, I want to go back just 1 second. Pretenders. As I told you, again, I got to reemphasize, when I'm talking dirty to women, I'm not like going, hey, baby, I want to fuck the shit out of you. So if anybody had that thought of me, well, a lot of you guys weren't even familiar with me before this weekend. But if you ever had that stereotype, please throw that out, because that is not an Alan Roger Currie move. My shit is very smooth. Matter of fact, my brother teases me because he says, dude, when you go into seductive mode, he said the first thing that happens is your voice drops. Because like, I remember one time we were at this party, and like these other women who I wasn't really interested in, I was talking in the voice I'm talking in now. I was like, hey, you know, blah, 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 blah. But as soon as I targeted a woman I want to sleep with, I was like, what's up? Me and you need to hook up in the next couple weeks. My voice was real soft. I said, we need to hook up. She was like, hook up and do what? I said, fuck. Excuse me? You're excused. And so I want to do this exercise, and young lady Sarah has been nice enough to volunteer. Now, I want to have a disclaimer. I don't want any guy to get out of control, because, you know, I have to put you in your place. But this is just going to be exercise, because the reason why I want to do this is because I had a couple of guys tell me yesterday, and I've experienced this before, where some guys are so verbally shy that not only do they feel they couldn't talk X-rated to a woman, they said to me, they said, Alan, I feel uncomfortable saying X-rated shit like to you in your presence, and you're like another guy. And I was like, really? Well, I wasn't really surprised, because like I said, I've heard it from different guys before. So first question I want to ask, who in their own mind would believe that they're the most verbally shy guy in this room? Raise your hand if you think you're the most verbally shy guy in this room. Okay, raise your hand if you think you're the second most verbally shy guy in this room. Okay, damn. Raise your hand if you think you're the third, fourth, or fifth most verbally shy guy in this room. So none of you are verbally shy. None of you.
They already, of course,
They're too shy.
They're too shy to admit that they're shy. Okay, well, let me just put it this way. I want somewhere between 3 to 5 volunteers. Give me 3 to, raise your hand if you want to be one of my volunteers for just a verbal exercise. Okay, you, and, okay, I got 5 right here. So you, come on, stand, you. Well, you got a lady on your lap, so I know you not, but you just want to participate. I ain't mad at you. And you. So this is what I want you to do with my good friend Sarah here. I'll demonstrate, and then I want you guys to follow suit. I want you simply to get close to her and whisper in her ear whatever triple X rated thing you want to say. If you want to say, damn, I love you to just fucking suck my cock, and I love to just fuck you silly. And all she's gonna say after each one is, I appreciate your honesty, thank you. So don't be like, yeah, I could feel you. You was getting turned on when I was saying that shit. Where's your number, baby? No, don't do that. Just, I want you guys to just say it for the feeling of saying it. Because some guys don't feel like they can say it. So again, I'm giving you license to just, in her left ear, whatever you want to tell her. Now, you don't even have to say it loud enough for us to hear. It could be a really, really soft whisper. But whatever you feel like saying, and again, she's just going to say, I appreciate your honesty, thank you. So, Ing, let's start with you. You go up to her and lean into her left ear. And
I just love your looks. I'm even going to do an American accent. You can do British if you want. But I want to take you. I want you. Your pretty little lips with that little piercing right on my dick and suck it. Then I'm gonna take you, bend you over.
okay, Gotta do a timeout here.
Appreciate your effort.
Now the verbal part, I didn't have a problem with. But please, for the next 4, don't do anything physical. Okay? Now I want to say this though. In real life situations, if I feel like I'm getting a vibe, then yes, I have gotten physical with women. Probably the first thing I usually do is I might start caressing a woman's ass. But for the purposes of this exercise, I don't want anybody, but yeah. But I talk about this in my book because I get asked a lot like, Alan, how quickly should you be physically? I said, it's hard to put in words because you got to have an intuitive sense of when a woman is really being receptive to you. Now, typically, if a woman is letting you be close enough to talk to her in the ear, 90 to 99% of the time, she's not going to have a problem. But yeah, he was just like, yeah, shit, I want to just, let me finger fuck you right now. Okay, you're next.
We sat next to each other at dinner, so.
Okay, but again, in real life, if a woman is giving you the signs that you can get away with that, then yeah, by all means. Go ahead.
I was actually wondering like how your piercing feels while you're giving them blowjob. Is that a problem or can you do good?
Well, I haven't heard any complaints, so.
Oh, nice. Looking forward to that.
Okay, I appreciate your efforts.
Honesty. You appreciate their honesty. Thank you. Good. Okay, next. I ain't gonna lie, dude. She looked like she was into that. Cause you, see, no, I gotta give him a compliment. That voice is the voice that I want my clients to reach. He had what I would call the right voice. It wasn't too loud. It wasn't so much of a whisper that she couldn't hear. he had the right voice. I liked his demeanor. I mean, yeah, he was right here in the space, and you know, and he had that smooth, it was like a smooth rhythm to his voice. So that was one to emulate. I really like that. Okay, your turn.
Appreciate your honesty.
Okay, now I'm not picking on you, but I will say this. I was just talking about certain volume, and I would say, I mean, I don't want to be too legalistic and act like, you know, if you're not at this volume, you're doing it wrong. But you were just a little bit too soft. And the reason I could tell, because she had to she leaned her head like, almost like, what are you saying? So that's when you know you too soft of a whisper. If a woman has to move her head to say like, okay, I like has that look like I can't really hear you. What are you saying? And there was a second where she had that look like I don't. So you need to bring it up just. But I'll say this: between the two extremes, I would rather a guy be too soft and then maybe bring it up a bit than to be too loud. Because loud to me is just not sexy. You know, that's why I hate when guys. And I know they're trying to be funny, but I hate when guys impersonate me and they do that loud shit. Because there's nothing sexy about it. Shit, I want to fuck you. I want to fuck you silly. Damn, them tits look good. Shit, I bet that pussy is tight and wet. God damn, I want to fuck you. Ain't no woman's pussy getting wet over that shit. Final, your turn. That was good. That was good. Okay. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate you helping me out. And thank you. Thank you very much. So, now I know there were a couple other guys in this room who probably know the good and well they sitting there verbally shy. But no, this goes back to my thing about envisioning negative reactions. Please don't do that. Please don't. If you get one, so what? It ain't gonna kill you. You know, your ego might be bruised a little bit. But what's that saying? No risk, no rewards. Matter of fact, I got into an argument on my show because this woman, her and two other women wrote this book called The Little Black Book of Big Red Flags. And I actually enjoyed probably 3/4 of the book. But they had one section where this woman said, a red flag is if a man just meets you and he starts talking about sex and he starts trying to talk dirty to you. That means he's a creep and he's a selfish lover, and just don't interact with a guy like that. So during the interview, I asked about that. I said, so what's your deal against a man talking sexually provocative to a woman in the first conversation? This is my pet peeve. Anybody familiar with a comedian / talk show host named Bill Maher?
Yeah.
Bill Maher, me and him share at least one characteristic. Bill Maher, he hates when people pull statistics out of their ass. And I hate that. Have you ever been around somebody like, say, I don't know, you were eating butter pecan ice cream and some friend of yours said, why are you eating butter pecan? Everybody knows vanilla is the best ice cream. Matter of fact, I would say like probably 98% of the people in the world love vanilla ice cream more than they love. See, that's the truth. That's what I'm like, okay, where did you just pull that statistic out? Your ass, your pussy, what? Where did that fucking come from? Anyway, that's what this woman on my show, she was like, Alan, I'm just going to tell you, 99% of women do not like men to be sexually provocative with them when they really don't know them. I said, that's based on whose survey? And she, of course, she will. I said, please tell me, where are you referencing that from? I'm competing with people. And she said, and of course she couldn't answer. And I told her straightforward, I said, you just pulled that statistic out your ass. And she ended up apologizing for it too, which I'll give her credit for. A few minutes later, she said, okay, I'm sorry, I did just kind of make that statistic up. I said, you damn sure you did. Because I know from my own life experiences, I've had way more women be receptive to my dirty talk than unreceptive to it. Sasha was a witness. We were at this restaurant at the London Direct Dating Summit, and there was these two sisters, not like blood sisters, I tend to call black women sisters. Two sisters that was getting ready to leave, and I introduced myself to both of them. And first I was talking to both of them, then Sasha, would be Mr. Initiative, he got up and started talking to the other one, so me and him were both talking to one. But the woman I was talking to, literally 2 minutes into the conversation, it started getting X-rated, because the turning point was I said, we need to share each other's company before I leave town. She said, oh, I would love to do that. You are a very handsome guy, but she said, I have a boyfriend. Now, a lot of times I say this in my book, if a woman says she's married or got a boyfriend, I don't challenge that. I just leave the woman alone. But if I feel like the woman's giving me a lot of rhythm, yeah, honestly, I'll challenge that. Now, I have to preface that by saying, as I've gotten older, I don't like to fuck other guys' wives, girlfriends, fiancés. In my younger days, 20s, I didn't give a fuck. And I'll be real about it. I did fuck quite a few guys, other women. But I'm just more of a karma guy, and I just believe it's fucked up. So I don't like to fuck women, even if they throwing a pussy at me. But anyway, getting back to the story, I decided to challenge her. I said, okay. I said, you love him? And she hesitated. I said, well, because you hesitated, I said, I don't get the impression you love him. She said, well, we've only been dating like 4 or 5 months. I said, okay. I said, well, let me just ask you this last question. Is he fucking you right? And she said, you're so bad. And I said, that's not an answer. I said, is he fucking you right? She said, he could do better. I said, oh, damn, if you was my woman, I would never want you telling anybody that. I would never want you, because I said I would be fucking the shit out of you. And of course she started looking around, she's like, you're so bad. I said, number one, I'd just take your clit into my mouth and just start tickling your clit with the wet warmth of my tongue. And I could tell she was getting aroused. She started fidgeting. And this was like at roughly the 2-minute mark of our conversation. And she started telling me, she said, oh, I love to have my pussy licked. What did I say, Fawn? What do you think I said? Say it. I was like, say it again. She said, oh, I love to have my pussy licked. I said, oh, shit. I know you got a boyfriend. I respect your relationship. But I would love to just have you spread your legs and me just put my tongue, just suck that clit in my mouth and then release it like you play with a noodle and chicken noodle soup. Just release it. She was like, oh. She said, I have to stop talking to you because I think we need to go, me and my friend. Of course, her friend was over there. Sasha was like, yeah, you know. They was talking. But they were both great girls. But I brought up that to say that, you know, some other guys might have believed that, oh, man, you can't talk dirty to a woman like 2 or 3 minutes after you meet them. That's some bullshit. I've talked dirty women literally within the first 10, 20, 30 seconds after I met them. Now, of course, some women weren't receptive to it. Some women, it didn't lead to me fucking them, and that's okay. But for me, Steve had something about screening, and I think I mentioned this yesterday. Not only is that my attempt to arouse a woman, but for me, it's a screening process. Because when I fuck, I like to talk dirty. I'm not a silent fucker. Now, some guys are silent fuckers. Seriously, I got some guys that tell me, they say, Alan, I don't talk at all when I fuck. I just fuck. I can't fuck without, that's like, oh, I thought you were giving me a signal. I got some time. Yeah, I got 20 minutes to go, and then I'm gonna wrap up. Oh, if that was time for 20 to 30 minutes, then yeah, that was the right sign. What was that? Made me lose my train of thought. Silent fuck, yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm just not into that. And I'm not saying if you're not into talking dirty, that means you're not doing something right. Everybody has their own thing. But I think you should talk to women. If you have some criteria for who you want to have sex with, and that's also something Steve talked about, I generally agree with that. Like, for example, and I say this with all due respect to the smokers in the room, I don't like smokers. So, like, if I see a woman smoke, she could be drop dead gorgeous, body, everything. At most, I might do a one-night stand with her, but I know I'm not going to have regular sex with a smoker. So sometimes I will bring up smoking or just simply ask a woman, like, do you smoke? And if she says yes, then I'm not talking dirty to her. That's that conversation. Any type of sexual advance has gone out the window. So yeah, I think you should qualify women if you have. That's assuming you have. Now, some guys' only criteria is, hey, the woman got a nice tits, she got a nice ass, she got an attractive face. I want to fuck her. And sometimes I just want to fuck. I don't want to try to hide that. And that's where I was feeling a little funny when Steve was talking about, you got to come from the heart and there's to be this love. And I mean, I'm not saying what he was saying is wrong, but I'm saying for me, it ain't like I want to have this loving connection with everybody I fuck. Some women, I just want to fuck them. I'm like, damn, she got a bad ass. Damn, I just want to see myself fucking that doggy style. Shit. But I make that clear. The thing, I never feel guilty about that is because I don't mislead a woman to believe that I want something emotionally profound that's going to lead to a relationship that lead us getting married. I tell women straight, I say, hey, I'm just looking to fuck. And the good thing is there's a lot of women in society that's all they want. I mean, women tell me all the time, they'll say, sometimes I just want some dick. I ain't trying to be all like, oh, I love you, you feel so special. I just want to get fucked. I want some dick. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes I just want my dick sucked. Like that woman I talked about in the airport. She wasn't trying to fall in love. She didn't want us talking on the phone, whispering lovely, sweet nothings to each other. I wanted my dick sucked. I got her pussy wet. She wanted to suck my dick. When it was all over, we just was like, had fun. We gave each other pounds. She was like, stay in touch. I was like, okay. So I'm spending roughly the last 20 minutes. Time waste. This is what my latest book is about. Don't waste time and money repeatedly trying to persuade a rejecter or time waster to change their mind and engage in sexual relations with you. That's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. What is a time waster? I briefly said yesterday, I'll re-emphasize it. Time waster is pretty much the opposite of pretender. Me and actually Sophie, who was here earlier, we kind of got into a little lighthearted debate about this. Because she said she loves to flirt. And she said, so Alan, you're saying if I flirt with a guy, I'm wasting his time? She's like, flirting is just a natural part of life. And I said, here's what would determine whether you're a flirt or a time waster. If you've already made it clear that y'all ain't fucking, I wouldn't consider you wasting my time. I'm not gonna call a woman a time waster just because, say, she might be talking about a porno movie she watched and she's talking about sex. I consider a woman a time waster when I made it clear to her, and that's the key point, if you're being, this is why I'm not a fan of indirect, because if you're being vague and ambiguous about your intentions, then why shouldn't she be vague and ambiguous? If you're beating around the bush, why shouldn't she beat around the bush? You can't expect a woman to be straightforward if you yourself not even being straightforward. But when I would call a woman a time waster is that if I made it clear that I want to fuck, and instead of that woman either reciprocating my interests or rejecting my interests, she's trying to operate in the middle like, Alan, you so bad. Hey, baby, I don't know. Who knows, 6 months from now, I might feel different. See, that woman's a race for me. And I know other coaches might say, no, man, stick with that chick, it's worth the 6 month wait. It ain't for me. That ain't for me. And that's why this is where I have bump heads with a lot of other dating coaches and philosophy. Because a lot of guys say you need to get to know a woman, you need to build rapport, you need to build emotional connection. I fucking agree with that. for me, it's all about what type of relationship you're looking for. If I'm looking for a long-term monogamous relationship, yes, I want to know a woman's character. I'm not leaving a woman alone in my apartment if I don't know about her character. She might just steal my shit. Matter of fact, James Emerald, who I brought up yesterday, he was a guy who spoke in Las Vegas. I really like this guy. But he said something. He's similar to me. He said, it's funny when people talk about they need to get to know each other, have sex. He said, no, you don't. He said, I get to know women for the periods of times I'm going to spend with them non-sexually. Because that's usually going to be the greater amount of time. And I said, I totally agree with that. He said, yeah. He said, I don't want to be around a woman non-sexually who bores me or irritates me. He said, I don't want to be on the couch watching TV with a woman who just either irritates the fuck out of me or bores the shit out of me. He said, so I want to get to know a woman for those non-sexual times. But I tell women and men all the time, I don't even need to know a woman's name to fuck her. I have fucked women without knowing their name. You see that in the movies sometimes where a couple wake up and say, now, what was your name again? I mean, that's real. I've done that. I've been like the grocery store I told you about, the infamous grocery store story. After she sucked my dick, I was like, okay, tell me your name again. Did you tell me your name? I don't know if I would say she didn't tell me, but I definitely didn't remember. So I asked her, I said, tell me your name again. But I don't need to know a woman's name. I don't need to know her background. Again, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a one-night stand, weekend fling, what the fuck you need to build an emotional connection, and why would you want to? To me, that's misleading and manipulative. If you build an emotional bond with them, they're going to think you want something deeper, something long-lasting. I don't want any woman to feel like that. Matter of fact, even if I have started fucking a woman, and I kind of start getting vibes from her that she's starting to look at us as boyfriend, girlfriend, I'll cut that shit off. I did that like a couple years ago. I was fucking this woman, and initially she was saying she was down for casual sex. But then she started saying, hey, Ellen, there's this formal event. I want you to be my escort. And Ellen, there's this one event coming up. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're starting to talk about boyfriend, girlfriend shit. And she said, well, I mean, I do want to spend more quality time with you. I was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Now, see, some guys would have just kept on fucking her, probably going to these events. But if I see it going in that direction and I know that's what I don't want, I'm not trying to play with any woman's emotions. Even if that might be hurtful to them at the time, but just about all those women will tell me later on, Alan, I respect you. Because you didn't try to lead me on. You didn't try to fuck with my emotions. But yeah, like this woman, once she started going that territory, I was like, nah, I'm not looking for the boyfriend, girlfriend shit. Because I know I'm going to be fucking other women. This is not specifically related to time wasters, but I always say this anytime I workshop. Never apologize for your sexuality. Never apologize. If, like, women sometimes will tell guys, oh, all you think about is sex. So? All you just want to do is get my pants. So? The biggest guy I like to quote of all people was a preacher. And you know, if a preacher says this, you know, preachers are all about usually don't have sex before marriage. This preacher one time in LA said, he said, God did not put man and woman on earth to be platonic friends. I was the loudest amen, and I was like, amen. He did. He actually did a sermon where he was criticizing. He said, one thing I don't like about society nowadays is there's too many men and women that just want to get together and watch TV and be all these platonic friends. He said, God didn't put you on earth to just be hanging out as platonic friends. You need to be finding you a wife. I didn't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I don't always try to find a wife, but I agree with his that, you know, all that fucking platonic shit. I'll skip over that for the purpose of time. Well, I'm going to touch on this real quick. I give this definition of seduction because some guys think if they go to a club and say, invite a woman back to their place, and a woman says yes, and they end up fucking that woman, they say, yeah, man, I'm a master seducer. I seduced her. No, you didn't. If I say, tell me your first name again.
What?
Yeah. Mateos. If I say, hey man, what this shit on my phone? Who had juice over here? What the fuck? But if I said, hey, you want to buy this phone for, I don't know, 100 euros? And you said, sure, yes. Did I sell you on this phone? Did I really use any salesmanship?
No.
I just offered you the phone and you said, yeah. That's what you learn in sales. Sales is if I was to say, hey, I want to sell you this phone for 100 euros, and you're like, I already got a phone. I'm like, yeah, but does your phone do this, that, and this? And you're like, well, not really, but, and I keep talking to you, you give me feedback, I keep talking to you, and then finally, I've persuaded you to go ahead and buy this phone. That's when I truly use salesmanship. And that's the same with seducing. I say that in my book, Say It Again. I don't consider seducing a woman, you just saying again, hey, do you want to fuck? And the woman says, yes, let's go to your place. You just invited her to have sex and she agreed. I only categorize me seducing a woman when a woman is giving me some degree of resistance, some degree of criticism. She basically, one part of her voice or mind was saying, no, I don't think I should do this. But because of the way I talk to her and use my persuasive charm, she ultimately says, yeah, I want you to fuck me, yeah. So, and that's why I say, if you're not overcome a woman, matter of fact, if you look up, I did research one time on the word seduce. Seduce is actually really a kind of a fucked up word. If you do the research like on its original meaning, seduce basically means, the formal term is to get somebody to do something kind of evil that totally goes against their morals, their values, their ethics. Like, for example, you normally wouldn't rob a bank, but I persuaded you to go ahead and rob a bank for some money. That's the formal definition of seduction, is when, you know, if I'm saying you want to eat chicken and I'm persuading you to eat beef, that's not the formal definition of seduction. It's me getting you to do something unsavory, like, again, that goes against your basic principles. I said this yesterday, rejection, leave her alone, resistant, become more. Some big guys ask me, they say, how come when you are sexually straightforward women, they do give you those negative reactions? Well, I would say the general answer is their social programming, but a related reason, a lot of women are socialized to believe that you should offer them something for their sexual companionship. Sometimes I respect them about that, because a lot of guys, they just willing to give dick away for free. They're like, shit, here it is, take it. Women like, no. You gonna at least take me out to dinner or something. You gonna like at least, do this and do that. So if you're just kind of offering them dick in exchange for pussy, some women, that egotistically frustrates them. They're like, no. My pussy is worth more than that. There's my latest book. It's called The Possibility of Sex. And while I call it that, see, I knew about reciprocators, rejectors, and pretenders early on. Time wasters was probably the last one I was able to identify. And it's funny, I got to bring up that LSS forum one more time. There was a guy on the LSS forum who was just criticizing the idea of time wasters. He was saying, there's no time wasters. I never ran across any women. Then he had a business trip. I forget what he does, but I guess it takes some different countries. He wrote me about a month later. He said, Alan, mate. He said, I apologize. He said, well, I would still partially defend London women. He said, I haven't really met too many women in London. But he said, I was in your country, the States. Oh my God. He said, at least half the women in the States are time wasters, manipulative time wasters. There's 4 types of time wasters I talk about in this book. The first one is what I just simply call the attention whore. Some women will flirt with guys, even in a sexually provocative manner, simply so you can give them flattering attention. They don't want to give you no pussy. I think a simple example of that, I'll be on Facebook, I've had female friends, they'll be posting pictures of their ass and a thong and their tits. I had this one woman, she was sending it to me in my inbox. I said, why the fuck you sending me this shit? I said, when we fucking? So, I said, then why are you sending me this shit? I don't want to see your ass if we're not fucking. A lot of women get off on that shit. They want you to say, oh, you got a nice L, you got nice tits. I only want to admire those women's bodies who I'm gonna fuck. Otherwise, I don't want to see your naked and half naked pictures. I don't want to see that shit. That's what a lot of women get off on. That's my definition of attention whore. Is a woman who's showing you her body parts and basically just trying to get you to flatter her. But she ain't trying to date you. She ain't trying to give you no pussy. That's when my kind of, for lack of a better word, asshole side comes out. When I see that woman just trying to get me to flatter her, I'll act like the biggest dick in the world. Biggest dick. I'll be like, get the fuck out, dismiss yourself from me. I ain't trying to deal with that shit. Second one is the woman who wants what I call a personal entertainer. Like, and I'm sure Sasha's gotten this, when you have a comedic background, particularly, if I say so myself, I think I have a pretty good sense of humor. And there's been some women in my life that just wanted me to be in their company to make them laugh. But my attitude, as I got older and more one, I was like, you want me to make you laugh? They like, yeah. I'm like, how much you paying me? Excuse me? You're excused. Shit, Eddie Murphy is a millionaire because he makes motherfuckers laugh. Name a comedian. Anybody?
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. He was a millionaire. Any professional comedian gets fucking paid to make people laugh. They don't be doing. Matter of fact, a comedian who just died, his name is Jonathan Winters. I remember reading this article. His wife said something interesting. She said, what's funny about my husband is when we're at family gatherings or just regular social functions, he's never funny. And the person interviewed him said, really? He said, no, his attitude is, that's my career. If I make people laugh for free, what would be their motivation to pay me? And that's how I am with people in general, and particularly women. I'm like I went off on these two women one time. There was these two women a few years ago, invited me out, and I told them, I said, now if I'm coming out, which one of y'all mouths my dick gonna land in? Oh, Ellie, he's so silly. I said, no, I'm not trying to come out. I'm relaxed in my home. You guys want me to come out to the restaurant? And because I kind of predicted what was gonna happen, but I gave in to my lesser voice and I went ahead. Sure enough, they had me there for like 2 hours and they just wanted me to tell these entertaining stories. But then when I was like, so when we get ready to go to your place, and and they were like, oh, Helen, I was like, wait a minute. You brought me out here literally to have me fucking entertain your ass? And they were like, damn, Alan, you're getting serious. But I told you, my dick side come out. They thought I was going to be laughing again. I said, you wasted my motherfucking time. I said, don't do that shit again. You'll be happy to hear from me again. Don't fucking waste my time. I hate people wasting my time, men or women. The third one is what I call the favor seeker. Similar to a gold digger, but not quite. A gold digger can be actually fucking you. Favor seeker is a woman. I always bring up this story. Anybody familiar with the Law and Order series in the U.S.? They have different shows, and one of them was Law and Order Criminal Intent. And there was this episode where this Jewish guy was accused of murdering his wife. But to tell you the story, you probably won't see it. It really wasn't him. It was his mother who actually killed his wife. But he had a mistress. And the initial assumption was that he killed his wife so he could hook up with his mistress. And I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. There's an actor named Vincent D'Onofrio. You know what I'm talking about? He's funny on this show because he gets all up in people's faces when he's like asking questions. So you sure you weren't at the bar? And all my friends say, man, I would just stick that dude if he got it close to me like that. Now, he's usually intelligent and perceptive. So it's rare where somebody is basically more perceptive about something than him. But he goes over to Mistress' house and he's seeing that she has all these nice things. And he says, I see there's some benefits to having an affair with a married man. And she's like, beg your pardon? He's like, don't play stupid. He's like, you're having sex with a married man and he bought you this nice expensive sports car. You got all these nice trappings in your apartment. She says, wait a minute, did he tell you we had sex? He said, no, I'm just assuming you had sex because you're his mistress. She kind of shakes her head like, And this is where this title comes from. She said, Detective, I'm gonna share something with you. You can get more out of a man by just offering him the possibility of sex than I'm paraphrasing words. Basically, she said, you can get more from a man by just giving him the impression that one day in the future he's gonna fuck you than to actually fuck him. And I used to work with women in Hollywood who would tell me that to some of the studios. They would come in bragging about it. They would say, yeah, I got this one guy, he's like paying half my car note. We haven't even like done anything with him. I'd be nosy and I'd say, wait a minute, run that by me again. You got a guy paying half your car note and y'all ain't fucked. And they'd be like, yeah. I would say, who would be stupid enough to do some shit like that? They'd be like, Alan, you're a different breed. Like, you're straightforward. See, I would just end up having to reject you because you're so straightforward. But most guys aren't straightforward like you. Indirect. See, manipulative women, and I'll wrap up in the next 3 to 5 minutes, but manipulative women, they love, this woman on my show admitted this, they love indirect guys. A manipulative time waster rubs her hands together when she comes across an indirect guy. Because what these women ended up sharing with me, which I think I mostly knew already, but they confirmed it for me. They said, Alan, we got to school you, because here's the deal with women. All we got to do is give a man, show our tits to a man, wiggle our ass, and basically give a man the impression that he's going to have one lucky day in the future where he'll be able to fuck us. And if that man is really attracted to us and really wants to fuck us really, really bad, we can get everything we want from him. There's this movie called Havoc with Anne Hathaway. Anybody heard of that movie? Havoc. There's a scene at the beginning of that movie where Anne Hathaway and her girlfriends are talking about that. They're in this restaurant and her friends say, Kylie, I want to get some drinks, but I don't have any money. And Anne Hathaway is like, shit, all you got to do is, I can't remember the exact words, but it's to the effect of, she's like, all you got to do is dick tease some of these guys and make them think they're going to be able to fuck you tonight and they'll buy you drinks all night. And the girlfriend's like, really? She says, go ahead and do it. Sure enough, girlfriend starts touching this guy's chest like, you're so handsome and you're so sexy. Would you mind buying me a drink? And he's like, sure. I'm sure every guy in this room knows one or more guys that have done that shit. Oh, I keep getting in front of this light. I told you about the guy who did the Cancun thing, classic example. Guys, just because they think it's the possibility of sex out there, they'll flatter women, entertain women, do financial favors for women, buy women gifts. And the final thing, and I touched on this yesterday, the final type of time waster is what I call the woman who's looking for a male gossip buddy, male girlfriend, or empathetic listening ear. That's when a woman literally, she wants to talk to you about other guys she fucking. Tim, right? Imagine if some female said, Tim, hey, you got some time to talk? You're like, sure. She's like, there's this guy named Bruce, right? And I keep telling him not to slap my ass so hard when he's fucking me doggy style. And he's always slapping it. And then, like I always say, don't come in my mouth. And he just always comes in my mouth when he's like, I'm sucking his dick. Would you be just sitting there like, damn, that's a trip. What an asshole. Golly, if I was your boyfriend, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't slap your ass real hard and come in your mouth if you didn't want me to. See, you're such a sweetheart, Tim. You're so sweet. You ain't never getting the pussy, Tim. Never getting the pussy. But that dick asshole guy, he's getting the pussy. He's coming in her mouth. He's slapping her ass. And so, in conclusion, the thing with a lot of the onus is on you as a man. Don't be quick to call a woman a time waster if you haven't made your intentions clear. If you've been beating around the bush, being vague and ambiguous, and a woman's being vague and ambiguous, okay, this is I guarantee my last story. Did I tell you a story about the woman who kept dropping her towel and picking it up? Did I say that yesterday? Well, it's in this book, and that's why I want to bring it up. because she was one of the first women, and since then I've had a few other women that have acknowledged this, but she was one of the first women that acknowledged straight up why she didn't like mode 1 behavior, and why this represents why most time wasters don't like mode 1 behavior. A lot of them will give you their worst reactions to mode 1. Because I went to visit a friend in Chicago, and she wasn't there yet. We had agreed to meet, let's say, at 1 o'clock, and I got there at 1 o'clock, and she wasn't there, but her roommate was there, who I hadn't met. And she said, "What's your name?" I said, "Alan." She said, "You know, your friend Erica's not here. She should be in about an hour, but you want to wait or you want to come back?" I said, "I'll probably just take off." She said, "You can wait." And again, I said, "Nah, I'll probably just." She said, "No, you ain't good." So I said, "Okay, what the fuck?" Now, she was attractive, but I wasn't going to hit on her because me and her friend had her roommate had interaction. So I sit down, I'm reading through some magazines, and all of a sudden, first she tries to engage me in small talk, and everybody knows I hate what? Say it again. Say it again. She tries to engage me in small talk, and I was cordial for maybe 3, 4, maybe as many as 5 minutes, but I was basically like, okay, let me read this magazine, you do what you gotta do. So she says, "I'm about to take a shower." Who just announces that? She's like real emphatic, like, "I'm about to take a shower." I was like, okay. So she goes to the bedroom, she comes out in a towel, and then she just goes straight to the bathroom. Then all of a sudden she comes out the bathroom. Then she goes back in the bathroom. Then she comes out again. Then like, I think the third time she came out, she like accidentally lets it drop. And I knew she was waiting for me to be like, "Oh shit, damn girl." But I didn't do that. I was just like, do-de-dee-do. So then she does it a second time. I would give it a benefit of the doubt that it might have been an accident, but she lets it drop a second time. And that's when I was like, okay, time out. I said, "When we fucking?" "Excuse me?" "You're excused." She says, "I don't even know you. You're my roommate's friend. What do you mean, when are we gonna fuck?" I said, "So are you saying we fucking or are you saying we not fucking?" She said, "I just met you. No, we're not fucking." I said, "Then why you keep showing me your body then? Why you keep dropping your towel? Why you want me to see your pussy, your ass, your tits? I don't need to see that shit." And she got mad. She started fuming. She was like, then she went to the bathroom. Then finally she comes out. She says, "I hate guys like you." I said, ooh, I mocked her. She got me more mad. I said, "Ooh, you hate guys like me." She said, "No, really. I'm gonna tell you, I hate guys who are just really direct and sexually straightforward." I said, "Why?" And I, deep down, I knew where she was gonna go, but again, I give her the credit. She was one of the first women at that time who acknowledged it. She said, "Because when you're that straightforward, you force me to basically either do one of two things, either reciprocate, which I always talk about, or what? Reject." And she hated that because she said, I said, "That's how it's supposed to be." She said, "No, you don't understand how women, we like to use our feminine charms." I said, "So in other words, you're saying you like to dick tease us." I wouldn't quite put it like that. Anytime somebody says, "I wouldn't quite put it like that," that's what they really want to do. And she said, "I like to toy with men. All my girlfriends do. We like to toy with you guys because you guys are so easy to fuck with." She actually said that. How you feel about being a woman saying we're easy to fuck with? She said, "You guys are so easy for. We like to toy with you, play with you, basically give you the impression that you might have a chance of fucking us, even though we already know we're not going to fuck you." Classic example of a time waster. I said, "Well, look, if we're not fucking, I don't want to see your body. Go take your shower. I wouldn't fuck you anyway. You're attractive." I told her she was attractive, but I said, "Me and your roommate have a relationship, and I don't think that would be cool." And she's like, just like, ooh. And she went in, but I ended up quoting her in this book because that, again, she represents the mindset. That's what manipulative time wasters want to do. They want to get your dick hard. They want you to flatter them, want you to entertain them, want you to spend money, but they know ahead of time, you ain't getting the pussy. Now, Kezia, she tried to argue with that. She said, "No, a time waster is just a more challenging version of pretender." No, I've had challenging pretenders, but I've also interacted with time wasters. And again, time wasters, you ain't getting the pussy. If not 100% chance you ain't getting it, I'll say 99.9% chance you ain't getting the pussy from a time waster. And the way you'll usually expose that is by not doing any of those things they want you to do. As soon as you let them know you ain't gonna flatter them on a regular, semi-regular basis, not gonna entertain them on a regular, semi-regular basis, not gonna spend money on a regular, semi-regular basis, not gonna be their empathetic listening ear on a regular, semi-regular basis, they ain't gonna want nothing to do with you. They ain't gonna want nothing to do with you. So you can get that book on Amazon. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of great feedback. Matter of fact, a couple guys said they love this book more than my original Mode 1. I was like, really? They were like, yeah, man, possibility of sex, man. I didn't realize, the biggest compliment or comment I've gotten, guys say, I didn't realize the detriments of being indirect until I read your possibility of sex. I used to kind of be indifferent about direct versus indirect, but I realize now that when you're indirect, you open the door for manipulative time wasters to just waste your fucking time. And I said, exactly. So anyway, I've enjoyed you guys, the ones I've talked to both in here, out to lunch, out to dinner. Thank you.
Special scenarios, okay? You're talking a lot about ordinary sex. Yeah? Let's say you want a threesome, yeah? You like two ladies, yeah? You have a story, you walk up to two ladies, telling them both, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, because guys, it's funny. I don't want to tease any of my clients because I think, you know, the audience says there's no question is a stupid question. But I've had guys literally ask me this. I'm not even exaggerating. Some guys will say, Alan, how do I go up to a woman and say hello? I'm like, you approach her and you say hello. And I know what they're really saying. It's just like what I talked about yesterday. Because guys will always say, well, Alan, I've been in a scenario where I was around this woman, I didn't know what to say. And I very quickly always say, that's bullshit. You always know what to say. But what you're really asking me is, what can I say or how can I say it that will elicit a very positive, enthusiastic response? And the thing is, there's this female coach named Marnie Wing. And she said some things I think I've disagreed with here and there, but she has this book out, I can't remember the name of it, but she said something I totally agree. She said, there's one section where she says, there is no right thing to say to a woman. A lot of guys want to look for that right thing to say. There is no, I've been walking down the street and I've been passing a woman and said, hello, how's your day going? Now, wouldn't you think that's kind of an innocent, non-threatening? I've had women say, fuck off, creep. Now, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Their sister might have gotten in a car accident earlier that day, or they just might be cramping real bad. But I've said simple, innocent shit to women, and they've had a negative reaction to it. So that lets you know that there's no definite wrong things. Because a lot of things I say to women, some people perceive as the wrong thing to say. Like I had a woman argue with me on the message board. She said, Alan, you're not a great communicator. I said, oh really, why is that? She said, cause you say these crass things to women. You talk about like putting your dick in their mouth. You talk about fucking them. That's just not a good communicator. I said, you basing that on what? Of course, she was hesitant to respond. I said, are you basing that on anything like a credible interpersonal communication expert has ever said? Because I guarantee you, if you do any research on the advice from interpersonal communication experts, they say the most effective way to communicate anything is directly. If I need to use the bathroom, why would I say, hey, you ever had bladder problems? like, you ever been in a situation where you're on a roller coaster and your stomach starts feeling real funny and you're looking at me like, okay, what are you getting at? I'm like, and then you like start doing this thing like you're dancing and stuff, as opposed to me just saying, hey man, can I use your bathroom? But anyway, that's what I told her. I said, if you communicate something to that person and they're clear about what you want, they're clear about your desires, your interests, your intentions, that's an effective communicator. I don't care how provocative it may be, how crass you might look at it to be. What's actually an ineffective communicator, and Brad Blanton talks about this in that book I mentioned yesterday, Radical Honesty. He said we become a nation of bullshitters. We just talk in bullshit code. And so she wants guys to talk about, you know, the boots and the blouse and the orange juice. She thinks that's a good communicator. I'm just the opposite. That's totally ineffective. If I want a woman to suck my dick, why am I talking about orange juice? What's effective about that? Anyway, but I want to segue. Guys will ask me, they say, Alan, how do you get two women to have sex with you? I say, you tell them you want to have sex with both of them. And they're like, really? No, matter of fact, I'm not going to say this guy's name. This one guy, he's not an A-list or anything, but there's a guy in the Hollywood industry. He's been in some shit. He's been on some TV shows. And matter of fact, he's one or two women he slept with is pretty well known. I'm not going to say her name. But he had asked me that. He said, Alan, man, I've done a lot of the one-on-one shit I think I could do. He said, on that end, I've lived out my fantasies. But he said, man, I've never had a threesome. I said, never? He said, never. He said, how do you do that? I said, if you've already fucked a woman, you talk to her, let her know how much you enjoy fucking her, and then you just throw out that, hey, something to the effect of like, would you have a problem if we added a third party, spice things up? And I said, if she immediately has, a totally negative reaction, then hey, you let it go, or at least let it go with that particular woman. But if she seems even halfway interested, you don't want to give her the impression that you're going to start favoring this other woman instead of her, but that you want to enjoy both of them. And he said, so you just be straightforward about it. I said, yeah, that's always the best way. Sure enough, man, he wrote me like 2 weeks later. He said, fuck, because of your advice and through Facebook and your book, Ooh, Say It Again, I scored my first threesome. I said, really? And he ended up giving me too much information. He said, matter of fact, one of the two women was blank. I said, damn, dude, you were in there. I mean, she's a gorgeous little thing. She's an actress. And he said, yeah, man, I just told her straight up, man, I wanted to fuck her. But I used to do that all the time, starting with college. I would be talking to a woman. Sometimes like women would say, they say, Alan, the way you look at my friend, you give me the impression you want to fuck her too. I said, because I do. And of course, sometimes they say, I can't believe you said that. I said, well, believe it. I want to fuck you and her. Let's make that shit happen. Well, I actually have always thought about it. I wouldn't be too adverse to it. You just got to put it out there. If you get rejected, so what? Anybody else got a question related to anything I said today, yesterday?
Anything you're going to say tomorrow?
Huh?
Any questions regarding what you're going to talk about tomorrow?
Johnny, you crack me up, dude.